people may not always remember the things that you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And if a day before our wedding, that is how you are describing me, then why on earth would you expect that I will say yes at the altar? Why? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing okay and everybody is doing well. So in today's video, we are going to be discussing the Love is Blind weddings because they came, they delivered, and they went. And in case you don't know, the reunion, I don't know why I'm so dramatic anyway, but the reunion is also going to take place on Friday the 4th of March. And I'm actually quite surprised that the reunion has come so quickly. I thought they maybe would have let it kind of fizzle and settle down until the end of the month, but it's here and we're definitely not complaining. So I figured this would be quite good for us to speak about ahead of the reunion. Number one, like I mentioned in the last video, the fire detector battery still needs to be changed. So if you are hearing a very annoying beeping noise, just know that it's that. And also number two, it is okay if you don't necessarily agree with my viewpoints. We are different people, we process and see things differently, so feel free to even like comment down below if you agree with me or if you disagree. Any rude comment whatsoever will be blocked, so don't try it. But yeah, that is what we're going to be discussing in today's video. So as I usually and I always say, if you haven't yet subscribed, of course be sure to subscribe, and please to get cozy and comfortable with your hot Ribena and your snacks, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Okie dokie, okie dokie. So let us get into the Love is Blind weddings. We're going to go in order of the weddings as well, so please don't think this is in any order whatsoever. We're going to start off with Nick and Danielle. They ended up saying I do, and as you know, they were actually the first couple that we saw a glimpse of their wedding from in the last episode. You guys already know my viewpoints on Nick and Danielle. Personally, for me, I do find them quite underwhelming. Is that bad? I don't think that's bad. I find them a tad underwhelming only because I don't think I can really suss out Nick's character. I think he's quite interesting, and also for Danielle, I don't know if she was actually ready for marriage. I feel like, and someone even mentioned this on Twitter, that Danielle doesn't need a husband, she needs a therapist. I do think in some of the scenes that we were shown, of course, many things do get cut out. It does come across like she is quite insecure and she does need a lot of validation from Nick, and you know, small things that he does kind of like throws her off. So personally for me, I don't know. For me, they don't, you know, deliver. So yeah, those are my viewpoints on Nick and Danielle. I don't know if those are viewpoints, but it's gonna have to do. So moving on to Deepti and Shayne. I've got notes, okay, because what was that? So we're going to start off with some of the comments that Shayne did say, and apparently his name is not even Shayne, his name is Abhishek. So even that nickname that he's created for himself, very interesting. But of course, what Love is Blind did end up doing is towards every single wedding, they'll kind of just showing a glimpse of their time in Love is Blind, you know, from when they met, their pods, getting engaged, their little honeymoon and things like that. One of the main scenes that I did kept showing was when Shayne kept saying, Abhishek, sorry. When Abhishek kept saying he doesn't feel that initial attraction, he doesn't feel that initial attraction. And for me personally, although we are going to get into their wedding, I just don't understand why he just kept saying that, because he must have surely known that even if they were to get married, Deepti would 100% watch these scenes back. So you do need to be very cautious with the things that you do say on this. First things first, Deepti looks absolutely gorgeous, okay? She looks gorgeous. And I'm saying gorgeous like that because as a Nigerian myself, I do understand the importance and the beauty in your tradition and also with your culture. And I've always loved cultural wears, especially in any country or any culture or literally any tradition that someone is part of. I think is honestly so beautiful. So it was really lovely seeing her. I think she looks absolutely lovely. Abhishek also made quite an interesting comment, and let me know if you think I'm reading into this a bit too much, you know, let me know. But he did say something about how he usually does run away from, you know, Indian women or people from his culture, and I guess Deepti for him is kind of like his bridge between himself and his culture. And I figured that was quite an interesting comment to make, because it's almost like he may not have necessarily liked Deepti as much, but with his ties and connections to her, he low-key somewhat feels like she is home. I know that sounds a bit deep, guys. I'm so sorry. I am a journalist by, you know, certification. But for me, I thought that was quite an interesting comment to make. It's almost like Deepti is his tie to his culture. So that was quite interesting. Let's move on to the wedding ceremony. When the wedding ceremony first started, I was like, yes, this is a bit of me. It had the drums, it had the music, it had the colors, you know, the vibrancy, you know, like I said, I'm really describing this wedding, right? But like I said, when it comes to like cultures and it comes to countries and traditions, it's just so lovely to be able to see a new culture and a new country kind of like embrace the traditions that it's always had. And we do know that Indians and, you know, people from Asian communities and even African communities and so on and so forth are known for having and being part of such vibrant culture. So I figured it was really nice to actually see that on our screens. When it did come to the I do's and I don'ts, as we know, Queen Deepti said no. And I'm proud of her. I'm proud she said no. She chose herself, and I love that for her. I honestly love that for her, because not many women in her situation feel comfortable doing that, or even feel strong enough or bold enough to do that. And I think one thing that kind of highlighted, and maybe a lesson that many females who are in similar situations can learn, is that you should go where you are appreciated and not tolerated. She knew that, yeah, Shayne may have, oh, Sarah, that was deep. But she knew that, yeah, maybe Abhishek did somewhat show some type of interest in her, but she knew that it wasn't genuine, or it wasn't whole, it wasn't full, it wasn't something that he genuinely wanted to do. It was more of just, oh, I have to do this because we're in this situation. So I'm very happy that she said no, and I'm also very happy that she chose herself, because it shows that she understands how much self-love is so important, and she wasn't willing to sacrifice that all for the sake of being with Abhishek. Regarding Abhishek and Deepti, I want to lastly speak about his speech at the end. When Deepti did walk off and she said no, you know, he was like, oh, turn up the drums so the drums can play music. And of course, like, he was surrounded by his friends and people who were still there. And I feel like his speech was low-key strange. If I'm going to be honest, it was given, I'm hurt, but I don't want to show that I'm hurt. He was like, oh, I've got dinner reservations at Nobu, and, you know, I'm happy she said no because I can handle it. Like, who says things like that? It's just really strange. So yeah, I definitely do believe and 100% support what Deepti said in her closing statement, which is that, you know, she's literally just one of one, and by the time he realizes what he has lost, it is 100% going to be too late. So yeah, as much as I did like them together, Abhishek was given unserious, so I am very happy that Deepti said no and she chose herself. So next we are going to move on to Shayne and Natalie, and my viewpoints still 100% stand. If you don't know my viewpoints regarding Shayne and Natalie, please feel free to pause this video and go to my last review. I still, till this day, never really know, or will never really know, what Natalie saw in Shayne, and I think a lot of people also share those viewpoints as well. But as we know, Shayne and Natalie did get into quite a heated discussion, or should I say argument, the night before their wedding. So even as they were both, you know, turning up to the venue, you could see that, yeah, moods were just not there. I mean, on your wedding day, you should be smiling, you should be joyous, you should be happy. Natalie looked confused, Shayne looked angry and confused. It just was given a very big imbalance. So yeah, already the vibes were already off, and from that I kind of sussed out that I don't think that either of them are going to say I do. First thing that I do want to highlight is Natalie's mum and dad, and I think for me the star of their whole situation was certainly Natalie's dad. And people always say that, you know, when a dad does have a daughter, the father-daughter bond is just such a beautiful thing, and I feel like with Love is Blind and with their situation, we really saw that highlighted, especially when Natalie's dad said to her, you know, of all the things that I've achieved, like, you've literally been the greatest thing that I've ever achieved, you've been the greatest thing that I've ever had. And that was so cute to kind of see how much she has come from such a loving home. And one thing that her mum also said was, make sure that you follow your heart. And I think for many people who have grown up with their dad and they have a very good relationship with their father, they kind of know or have certain standards or boundaries that they put in place when it comes to getting into a relationship, because you already know what it feels like to be loved by a man, so you wouldn't want to settle for anything less than that. And I feel like if Natalie was to go with Shayne, she would be settling, because he clearly doesn't treat her or loves her as much as her dad does. I hope that makes sense. I won't lie to you, I wrote this in my notes, okay, because I gotta be honest. Shayne grew on me for, I'm gonna say 0.0001 seconds. Like, literally for 0.0001 seconds, he 100% grew on me, because I do remember when Natalie did reach the podium, is it a podium? I don't know, but when Natalie did reach the podium, you know, he helped fix her dress, he looked quite nervous, you know, almost like, yeah, I'm very sorry for what happened, but I do actually want to make this work. So I was just like, oh, maybe Shayne actually does like her, and maybe he just acts weird because he does like her, but you're a grown man, I need you to fix that, like, you need to sort that out. So Shayne ended up saying I do, and Natalie ended up saying I do not. And the second Natalie said I do not, Shayne's face dropped, and she just kept saying, I just don't feel like we're ready, I feel like there's some things that we need to sort out, there's certain things that we need to get through. So she ended up walking off, and Shayne followed after her, and they were discussing the argument. Of course, in the beginning they didn't actually let us know, you know, how extreme the argument was, but as they were discussing, it did let me know, okay, maybe this was actually quite a lot. He was saying things like, you know, he hates her, he never wished he met her, and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I understand that when you are angry and when you're not feeling like yourself, you can sometimes say some things, but as an adult you need to learn to tame your mouth and also hold your tongue, because people may not always remember the things that you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And if a day before our wedding, that is how you were describing me, then why on earth would you expect that I would say yes at the altar? Why? Even with that, after that whole situation, the way Shayne was acting, like I said, I do think he's quite interesting. I feel like his reaction was quite weird. If you did watch the episode, you know exactly what I'm speaking about, but he just didn't seem to be himself, whatever himself is, but he didn't seem to be in the correct state. And that's all I'll say on that situation. Moving on to Mallory and Sal. If you 100% watched my last video, you would know that my viewpoints on these two people still stand, and it hasn't changed. Nothing is changing my viewpoints on these two people. This whole situation, yeah. I already had my reservations on both of them. I didn't think they were going to get married. But one thing that was quite interesting was even when Mal was getting ready for the day, I think it was either her sister or her friend that asked her the question like, oh, you know, do you see yourself with Sal with, you know, 5 years, 10 years, like long term? And she was just looking and she was just like, yeah, I do. Like, if you are 100% sure about someone, that's not really the response that you give. So even that, I was just like, interesting. One thing I did write was that she looked absolutely stunning in her dress. I'm not going to front. She looked absolutely lovely. Of course, there was a little band. We know Sal loves his little music. So that was at the wedding. Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, cute. Moving on to the I do's and I don'ts. Sal was the first one that was asked, and he actually said I don't. And his speech was really cute, by the way. I do feel like his speech was really cute, and I do feel like he did somewhat fall in love with Mallory. But one of the main foundations of his decision was the fact that, you know, I haven't met your family, I just feel like we need more time. And, you know, she was just like, yeah, it's fine, like it's okay, it's fine. You're saying that because you didn't know if you were actually going to marry him, by the way. You're not saying that because you're being understanding. I definitely believe that. But I did think that those grounds were actually quite solid to stand on. I mean, I'm marrying you and your parents aren't even here. I haven't met all your family. It's not really giving or making sense. And my views still stand. Yes. And last but not least, moving on to Iyanna and Jarrette. Iyanna and Jarrette. Save the best for last because it delivered. It definitely delivered. The first thing that I have here is that Iyanna looked absolutely stunning, and I said this in my last video and I still stand by this. I honestly just feel like she's a natural beauty. She's just a ball of energy, good vibes. Like, I'm really acting like I know this girl, but I don't. But you know when you can kind of I'll say detect someone's energy through the screen. Like, she just seems really nice and really sweet. One thing that I did really like as well was Jarrette was speaking with his friends, and he was speaking about how he needs to make certain sacrifices if he's going to be a married man. And I did think that was quite sweet because it shows that he did take on board a lot of the things that Iyanna said. As we did see in the episodes prior, that was a big reservation for Iyanna. You know, she didn't really appreciate his lifestyle and kind of understood and also explained to herself as to why she feels like he needs to make certain changes. So I feel like by him saying that, it kind of made me think, okay, he is really wanting to take her seriously. I know many people are still side-eyeing him because, you know, Iyanna was his second choice, but we're here now, okay? Let's forget about the past, let's look ahead. One thing that I also did write down is, who noticed when they both said thugs don't cry? Who noticed? I know you noticed that because the second he said it, I was just like, nah, it just makes sense. It actually just makes sense. I also want to move on to Iyanna's parents because her parents are a big ball of energy. You can tell that they're very loving, very caring. You know, they prayed, and I don't know if anyone else prayed for the wedding. I don't think it was anybody else. I think they were the only family and parents that prayed. So I thought that was actually really cute as well, because a praying over a marriage is a yes, and it is a must, and you should, okay? You need to do that. Moving on to the speeches just had everyone crying, and I think that's really beautiful as well. Like I said, this was the best for last because I was smiling at my screen like I was there. I think it's really beautiful as well when people who are also at your wedding are able to see the love that you have for someone, and even though they met in quite unconventional circumstances, you can tell that there is love between them. I mean, Jarrette's dad was the reverend that actually married them, and everyone was just smiling, and there was tears, and there was this and there was that. So I feel like the love wasn't just felt between them, it was also felt in the room as well, and I think that was really beautiful. But yeah, they ended up saying I do, both of them, clearly. And yeah, Iyanna was just smiling, Jarrette was just smiling, and I hope that they live happy ever after. But I think they're honestly just the cutest for me. I'll be really honest with you. I think they're really cute. I think you can tell as well that Jarrette really is into her, even though we didn't think that at first. But he is really into her, and you can tell Iyanna as well, although she did have her reservations, she's willing to give it a try, and clearly she is now because she is his wife. So I really hope they do live happy ever after because they are most certainly my favorites. So guys, that is the end of my Love is Blind season 2 The Weddings review. I did already mention this in my last video, and I feel like my viewpoints still stand, but I do feel like this season was a tad, yeah, I feel like this season was a tad underwhelming compared to season 1, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm too surprised or shocked at that, only because people always hold season 1 at such a high standard, just because it's the first season or first episode of anything. So I'm not really too shocked that many people do feel like season 2 was a tad underwhelming. But like I did already mention, the reunion is going to, I think it's going to take, no, not take place, sorry, it's going to air on Friday the 4th of March, so that should be quite interesting to see as well. I do feel like they are going to kind of put a strong emphasis on the whole Shayne and Shayna and Kyle and Natalie situation. I have already started seeing a few things going around on social media of certain couples who are still together and certain people who have mixed match with couples and couples who are still dating and things like that, so it should be quite interesting to watch. But as always, I'd love to hear your viewpoints in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Were you shocked? Were you not shocked? Like, were you surprised? Please do let me know. Regarding the reunion, I don't know if you guys would like to see another video or if you would prefer for me to go on live like I did with Love Island, but I'll put it in the community tab on my channel and you guys can just vote, and whichever one gets the most votes, I'll just dedicate time to do that as well. But yeah, my mouth is very dry. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, of course be sure to subscribe, and also follow me on my Instagram and also on my Twitter at SarahDestinyX. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please do take care, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.